Hello, and forgot to move the camera. Hello and welcome to the championship round of the Tokyo Wave 2 Area 2 Championships. It's been a long time coming. I'm excited about this mirror match that we've got on. Doflamingo, arguably the best deck in format, in full showcase today in these championships. Going to be very exciting. This player right here going first in the matchup. We'll see exactly how that pans out for him in this one. Doflamingo being a very strong leader and a very strong archetype with that 7 Warlords of the Sea package in here, as both players are mulliganing, I think. Just a couple quick things that I want to tell you guys about before we get too far deep. First of all, I am not the official live stream, so don't think that I am. If you want to watch the official live stream, you can go ahead, check the link in the description below. I've got it there for you if you want to go watch it. You don't want to hear talk or anything like that. They do an excellent job at these championships. I love watching them, and I feel like I learned so much. But also, finally, let's hear from a word from our sponsor. Thank you so much to Nengarden for sponsoring this video. I'm sure you've heard of Nengarden before and maybe seen some of their designs on different social medias. Their Gear 5-1, arguably their most notable design. I love this one. If you're preparing for OP09, they have plenty of designs to match your favorite decks, including their new Joker design, right, in 2 different variants of full color and this sleek black and white, as well as a beautiful new red-haired playmat and their stained glass 4 Emperor's mat. They've also got plenty of playmats of other mainstream series that you know and love, including Don, a great one as of late, Chainsaw Man, my personal favorite, of course. They've got a huge deal right now where they are giving 25% off with this code HOLIDAY25, and you can save 5% off on your order if you use my code Atrocious. Combining those 2 codes together saves you 30% off during this holiday season. Use that Christmas money, especially while there's a discount on those prices, and make sure you don't miss a beat. So the starting hands are set. Let's go ahead and look at our player on the right side going first in this match. So looks like off the mulligan got 2 geckos, that 4 drop from STO3. Is it 3? I think it was 3. But either way, finding 2 of those 2Ks in the Dracula Mihawk and the Crocodile, and also a Perona. Perona going to be really nice going first, right? Going to be able to reorder the deck and maybe try to stack different pieces of the puzzle that you are going to want to find within the match to help set up excellent turns in the following. The player on the left side getting a Dracula Mihawk and Crocodile of their own also finds a Perona, but also has a Jinbei and a Marshall D Teach. So kind of looks like player on the left a little bit more solid of a hand, right? Having that Marshall D Teach, going to be able to stack on the top of the deck even when you don't know what the top of the deck is. Rona, an excellent turn 1 play as we talked about previously, and a couple 2Ks to kind of round out the hand. So going to be interesting to see where this goes in this championship. We're off on this one. Thank you so much for joining me again as well. As we move into the player on the right side on their first on turn with those excellent Gecko Moria OP01 Gold Dawn, is going to start out with Perona. Looking at that top 5, does find a couple Weevils in there, but no Jinbeis. So already a little bit behind, right? No Jinbeis. Is going to go ahead, put it on the top, having the people in the 2nd spot and the 5th spot. Going to be excellent for 2 consecutive turns of leader effect in a Weevil. So is going to find a Sengoku off the top. So as typical of what we see with Sengoku Perona turns, plays that Sengoku first. So is going to find a couple different Warlords type cards. Does have a Jinbei as well as a Weevil, Boa, Teach, and Law. A full set of options to be able to grab, but you can only get 1 off the Sengoku. Law going to be an excellent, right? Going to be really good in controlling the board in this game and ending off the turn with potentially a Perona. Thinking about how maybe he doesn't want to at this point, maybe using it for counter, but he is going to go ahead and use it, is going to go ahead and look at that top 5. We'll see what he's got in there to set up his turns. Couple Marshall D Teaches and also a Jozu. Jozu could be real nice for being able to get your Searcher back in there, as well as the Crocodile. Boa Hancock also being a card that you can use. So maybe thinking about using Martial D Teach, right, on this turn, right? Could combo well Jinbei, but is going to go ahead, put it on the top. I think Crocodile as the top one, going to draw that for a turn. Is going to go ahead, pass it off, and now a 7k swing. Is going to go ahead, use leader effect, play that Weevil like I mentioned, draw that card, and the next turn is going to be able to get another Weevil. So taking this first life, going to be a Boa blocker, going to be nice in combination with your if you want. Or maybe the Law, right? They only played down one character within this turn, didn't use Jinbei Weevil. So Jinbei Law could be a really strong play, especially off of this Martial D Teach. So is going to go ahead and use the Teach effect, right? That activate main one per turn, putting 2 Rested Dawn on a leader character, but you got to put 1 card from your top of the deck. Is debatably going to put the Jinbei. I think Jinbei is an excellent one to put on in combination with that Law, right? Get the Weevil back in your opponent's hand, right? Really control the board, force them to find a Jinbei of their own. And so he's going to go ahead, put it on top, attach the 2 Dawn to lead. I'd be attaching 1 more, right? Could be a little bit efficient with the swing 8 instead of 9. Is going to go ahead, attach that swing 8. Looks like going at the Weevil. So is going to go ahead, Jinbei, maybe going ahead and playing that Boa. So swinging at the Jinbei is going to force either a lot of counter or a knockout. Either way, it's going to be trouble for the player on side. Is going to go ahead and reorder, and with that Rested Dawn, swing 9,000 at the Weevil. Is going to force 2Ks if they want to keep it alive. It does have plenty of 2Ks in hand with that 4-drop Trafalgar Law, right, from OP07, but it feels really bad to keep this guy on the field. Is going to go ahead, counter out 2Ks, put you at 10, gets out of the turn, passes, and off to your turn now. Again, does have that Weevil that is going to be the next card to get off of the leader effect. Is now going to be at 6 Dawn, or I'm sorry, 5 Dawn? 5 Dawn within this turn. You attach 1 to the Weevil, swing 7 at the Jinbei. Is potentially going to be a block and 2K if you want to keep this guy alive, but decides, you know what, I'm going to let that guy go. Maybe I can find a Gecko later to grab a Jinbei, and the rest of the Dawn goes to the leader, swings 8 at lead. Another Weevil comes down to draw a card. You're kind of like on the fence, right? You're like, okay, that's not a Jinbei Weevil, it's just a Weevil. But it still does not feel great. Weevil being a great card. One of the reasons why it's like a EBL1 rare. That's a couple bucks in the turn, and passes off the turn. Now at 3 life, still 5 life on the right side. You are going to have to clear the board a little bit. 6 cards in hand and plenty of counter options. You do have a Boa that you've got in hand right now that could be nice. You can use that Boa off of the leader effect, right? Or maybe the Trafalgar Law. He's a tree now. Trafalgar Law, be able to put one of your searchers back, maybe go back in digging or top of your deck off of the Perona. You could also, what you could do is you could go ahead, play the Trafalgar Law right here, then go in, use leader effect, right? After using the Martial D Teach, right, it would give you 2 Rested Dawn right there. You'd be able to go ahead and use leader effect only with 2 active Dawn on a 6 Dawn turn. I think the order of operations, though, goes, which one do you want to do first, the Bow, the Law? I think the player is aiming to do potentially both of them on this turn, but which one do you go with exactly, and thinks about the Boa. Boa, I think, is an excellent choice. You get to relook at this top 3. You already kind of know what it is, so just kind of confirming it, but you get to attach a Rested Dawn onto the leader right here, and with the Martial D Teach, you get to add 2 more Dawn, right? So you can swing 8,000 power at one of these Weevils if you want. It also has your Boa as active, right? Especially as you attach 1 and swing 7 at Weevil. Is going to force a couple different 2Ks if he wants to keep these guys alive. So maybe one of those things where you go in and counter out of one, but one thing that the Law could do at this point of the game is get rid of both of them, right? You go ahead on the swing, put the Law on top, swing 8,000 at one of the Weevils, go in, use the Law, put the other Weevil away, and put it in hand and swing at the other one to be able to really force, okay, now you have to get rid of a lot of counter or you have no board entirely. So he's going to think about what he wants to do on this one. It's definitely a tricky situation, right? You're still at 5 life, but it doesn't feel really good because you don't have anything on board. Is going to go ahead 2k, 1k out of it on a 6k body, is going to keep it alive and pass off the turn. Only 4 cards in hand at this point. The player on the left side already has 3 2ks in hand and 2 Sengokus. But we're going to see if he's going to be able to keep it going. The Jinbei in hand is going to be a really nice top deck at this stage of the game, right? Is going to be really good for the Weevil that you had to put back in hand and be able to stabilize with 2 active 4 cost bodies on here on your 7 Dawn turn. So I think is going to go ahead, use the Sengoku first, maybe thinking about potentially grabbing like a Martial D Teach could maybe do something of the sort, or maybe try to find drop Trafalgar Law of their own from the starter decks, or maybe even find a 2k, which is what they're going to grab right here. The Dracul Mihawk. The focus has been the board entirely on the entire right side, or left side of the field, right? So gaining that counter is going to help you prevent these bodies from going away in the coming turns. Now, the problem is with the rest of this Dawn, you can, I don't think, use leader effect and also the Jinbei, right? So you're gonna have to decide between the two. Might just have to go ahead, play the Jinbei Weevil of your own and spread out the Dawn a little bit on the different swings. Maybe thinking about a Gecko play, but no, he's gonna go ahead with that Jinbei Weevil, draw a card. What is that card gonna be? It's gonna be a Buggy, which is a nice 2k, right? Maybe does a little bit of reordering, but I think you maybe want something a little bit different at this point. But is going to go ahead, swing 7 now. The 7 is going to go at that Law. Going to go ahead, block and 2k, and I'd imagine passing the turn, right? Don't want to swing that Weevil. You got all your characters active. You want to force them to swing at life, right? You want to force them to turn their characters sideways first. Jozu coming in is going to be nice at this point. You've got a lot of characters on the field, so Jozu's a little bit awkward at times, but you could go in, swing with this Law, right? Play the Jozu to pick up the Law, and then in a future turn, maybe even with Martial D Teach, go ahead, play that Law again with 6 Dawn. I believe that is a combo you would be able to do with Martial D Teach having such good synergy with your leader effect, right? And is going to go ahead, potentially, I really like the idea of swinging 5 with the Law, maybe 6 even, just to try to bait out some cards. Is going to go ahead, be aggressive, swing with the Boa, and we'll see exactly with the Jozu what exactly he wants to do. Is going to go ahead, get that Buggy to get out of that swing. And so with only 2 cards in hand, can I get aggressive? Maybe attaching 1 swinging 7 right now at this point. Maybe trying to force the opponent and say, okay, I have kind of gone for board enough in this turn. I need to start going at life, right? I need to start swinging at least. Just thinking about potentially doing 7. I kind of like a 7 at this point, right? Would be able to take a life and you're going to swing another 7 with the leader. I think the only difference would be like 6 and 8, but is going to go ahead, swing this Boa with that, is going to take a life. Does get a Martial D Teach on there, and that Jozu going to pick up the Law and putting the Weevil back in hand. And with the Teach leader effect, is going to go in with that Doflamingo leader effect, play down that Law again, pick himself back up to play him again later, and put the other Weevil in hand. That 7-8k swing is going to take a life, and the Sengoku is going to come down. Players flying like crazy at this point, I feel like, with the match, and is going to grab a nice 2k Crocodile. So if they decide to continue swinging at these Boas, you are going to be able to do a bit of defense, but with the Jozu now on the field, the only thing that can really respond is another Jozu. So what is off the top right here? It's going to be a Gecko. That's not a Jozu. So Jozu is going to stay alive as the player on the right side now at 9 Dawn. So 9 Dawn right here does have a 4-drop Trafalgar Law of their own, but not really a great way to play it. May go ahead and play that Martial D Teach down, right? The Martial D Teach would good synergy with your leader effect, as we've seen on the left side constantly in this game, and also be able to help put one of your searchers or one drops in general back onto your hand. Is going to go ahead and at first though play the Weevil, is going to go ahead, draw a card. I don't mind this, kind of leave all the options open to you. Does find a buggy 2K, which is nice to get. I really like the idea of going Martial D Teach on this turn, right? Go ahead, use the Teach, play that guy down, go ahead, use the effect. The only downside to not playing the Teach first and using the Law effect is now you have 5 bodies on the field. You have to get rid of one of these bodies in order to use that Law, but doesn't put the Law in, goes ahead with the Weevil. Interesting. So attaches one of the other active, done, swings 8,000 at the Boa, is going to go ahead and use that leader effect, play the and draw a card, really just valuing all the card draw that they can do on this turn. You got to imagine that the Jinbei potentially is going to swing, or maybe they'll leave that one up. Is trying to fetch counter card, swinging high enough that it would be valid to get a knockout right here, is also potentially good to counter out, right? That's the kind of this like cat and mouse game that we've got going on right now. Takes the knockout on the Boa, 3 life a piece, and attaches the 1 to the Jinbei. Is going to go ahead, swing another 6, it looks like. Now, do you go at the Boa or do you go at life? If you go at the Boa, it's just a simple way to counter out, but if you go at lead, it's going to force a 2K. And so is going to be a Dracula Mihawk 2K that gets countered out. Now at a full 10 done, the whole world at his disposal. Let's see what the top deck is. The top deck being a Boa. So you like getting another blocker, I would say at this point. Could go ahead and use that Martial D Teach effect, put the over on the top of the deck and use off leader effect to continuously get these Weevils out of the way, right? Minimize the amount of swings you face every single turn. Go ahead, pick that Law back up to continuously do it literally every single turn, it feels like, and then finish off the turn with the Boa, right? Boa being able to ice herself. But in order to get the rest of done, you do need to play a character down. So I wonder if you like play the Law down, pick the Law back up, put the active Weevil back in the hand, then go ahead, use the Martial D Teach, put the Law back on top, use effect to get the Law down, pick the Law back up to get another character off the field, and then play the Boa Hancock to finish off the turn. That's a wild sequence, I feel like, on this. That 4-drop Law is so good, I feel like, in this matchup. So doing just that in terms of getting rid of that active Weevil is going to go ahead, swing the Jozu. And I don't know where this Jozu is going, if it's going at lead the characters. It wouldn't surprise me for it to go at something like the maybe the Jinbei at this point, or maybe the Weevil. And so is going to take a life. Actually, that Jozu swinging at lead at that point. So going down to 2, what do you do in reaction to this, right? Are you going to go in and swing at these characters? Swings another 7 at lead. Is going to go 2K, 1K to go up to 8, as we think. Is going to go ahead, probably play the Boa now, plays the Law now, and so uses that Law to bounce back the Weevil. This Law is the bane of the player on the right's existence. Cannot get rid of this guy. Goes ahead, uses the Martial D Teach leader effect, puts the Law on top, uses the Law again to put the Teach. Puts the Teach back in hand. So can he even use the Teach play? Swing 7. Does he swing 7 at the Jinbei, or does he swing 7 at life? Doesn't want the Jinbei to go back in hand, right? You don't want to give any opportunity for the Jinbei. You know that they play geckos, right? Because they were trashing some geckos on as counter, and so is going to 2K 1K out of it, does leave the Jinbei on the field, right? No opportunity to get him back, and spam down the board and passes the turn off to the player on the right side. They have so many cards in hand, it feels like, but just not a lot going on because these Weevils can't stay on the field. This freaking Law just keeps getting them again and again and again. Law's the real MVP in this matchup. 2 Laws now on the right side, but especially with no Teach on the field, it just does feel like great ways to play them. So is this matchup like really about who can spam Law more? And I guess who can maybe stick Jozu on the left side is putting in a ton of work in this match is going to start out with 4. Do another Weevil, just do another draw, right? Perfume Femur, not really the card. Well, it's not a bad card, but what do you do with the rest of this? This feels like such an awkward game. Is this really what Doflamingo mirror matches come down to? Oh my gosh, I never want to play a Doflamingo mirror match. It's probably a lot of fun, and it's probably very intricate. I mean, it feels really cool to see all of these plays kind of happen, but man, I'd get a headache. Is going to go ahead and use that Martial D teach. If you use leader effect, you're only going to be able to have 3 Dawn left. So you just go in and attach all the Dawn on the Jinbei, blast one of the characters. Is going to go ahead and use that teach effect. Is going to put a card on the top, the 2 on the leader. Attach one more, swing 8,000 power at the Boa. Uses that leader effect. He's going to put down another Weevil. These Weevils, man, just drawing cards like crazy. Is going to go ahead, take a knockout, says, you know what? Yes, I'll let that one go. Swings another 7. Takes a life. Is going to put that in hand. Another Sengoku. And passes off the turn. So finding a Weevil of their own right now, but no Jinbei to combo along with it. We'll see how many times Law can come down. If take a shot for every time Law comes down, you would not be happy at the end of this game. Please drink responsibly. He's going to be spreading out the Dawn. Looks like 1 and 4. Maybe going to be looking at a Sengoku, right? Maybe try to find a Jinbei to combo off with this Weevil. You still have Martial D teach, but attaches 1, swings 8 at lead. Is going to take this first life. Doesn't have a ton of counter. Is maybe a Perfume Femur, right? Or a Gravity Blade. Gravity Blade would be able to put the teach at the bottom of the deck if it is. And is going to use it, is going to put that teach at the bottom of the deck, right? No more teach within this match for the player on the left side until maybe they draw and play another one. How does that change the game plan, right? Now you're not going to be able to get that rested Dawn back in on your turn. How does that change what you're doing? Is going to go ahead, maybe play a Sengoku. Sengoku going to be looking at that top 5. We'll see what they find in there. Does find a Jinbei, like I was mentioning, as well as a Buggy 2K, also a Perfume Femur, but is going to go ahead with that Jinbei. You've got a 4 Dawn to be able to utilize with the Weevil that you've got in hand. Yeah, going with that Jinbei, gonna put it down as well. Probably just gonna try to fill the board. You can play 3 different characters within this turn. The Jinbei Weevil combo, also maybe the Law. Maybe you even play the Law first, pick up either the Law again or Sengoku, and you go in with the Jinbei Law, pick up Law again, and clear those 2 Weevils off the field. That would be so troll. So he's going to play Jinbei. What is he going to? He's going to play the Law. He's going to pick up the Weevil, but he's going to pick up his Sengoku. So does not have another opportunity for another Jinbei and attaches the rest of the Dawn. Is going to go ahead, leader effect, play the Gecko. What is he going to grab? It's going to be a Dracula Mihawk 2K. Go in, that AK swing, taking a life. Looks like it's going to be either Perfume Femur. Looks like Perfume Femur, just nice draw 1 card, right? Tries to get you a bunch of counter. What do you do at this point? So draws for turn. What does he find? Looks like a Crocodile 2K. There's no way that you can just math yourself out for game, right? Especially because 2 life left. Has plenty of cards, right? We saw Sengoku grab a 2K earlier. We haven't really seen a ton of counter. Is going to go ahead and take this first 7. Is going to find a Jozu. Going to attach 4 to the Jinbei, swing 9 right here. And then 9 and 10. So 7, 9, 10. Does have enough counter to get out of this. Is going to think about with Perfume Femur. Needs to read Perfume Femur, right? If you're running Perfume Femur, could be another one in this. If they did do a Perfume Femur, could be a little bit added bonus of power within this game. And you definitely need to be wary of that if you are the player on the left side, right? Got to factor that into your math. See what the possibilities are. Takes that life. I think you're pretty safe on taking the life because I think you can get out of it. Is going to go ahead, play the Perfume Femur. The Perfume Femur is going to add 2,000, but be unblockable. And then with the Martial D teach is going to add 2 Dawn. So that's 4,000 power in total. 5, 6, 7 for a 12,000 power swing is going to go 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 for 14,000. 14,000? That should be enough, right? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, should be enough to get out of that turn. And going in there, passes off the turn to the rest of the turn. 10 done. You gotta go for game at this point if you're the Doflamingo. Do you play the pudding right here? But no, just goes ahead and swings 17 at lead. Is going to go ahead, get this one. Is going to be our champion here in OP10 in the Tokyo Area 2 Wave 2 Championships. An exciting one. What an interesting mirror match. Starter deck 17, Law being the absolute hero of this tournament right here. Absolute great job navigating that matchup. Excellent, excellent, excellent. But got to look at their deck list before we head out in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and put the two players side by side right here. This player over here was the player on the left, and this player over here was the player on the right, similar to what we do in many other of the mirror matches. So add these two deck lists, right, and their differences. Player on the left side only playing 2 Gecko Morias, right, instead favoring Jozu. I think Jozu's a great card. I think you should play Jozu in Doflamingo. I think it has great synergy, right? Being able to pick up a lot of these different bodies that you have on the field and that you want, and being able to clear bodies is so good in so many different situations in the game. But I can understand why players like the player on the right side didn't play it, because the player on the right side has a much higher hit rate on blind Doflamingo flips, right? Only, I believe, 4 cards, 4, 8, 12 cards are ones that you can't hit off of the leader flip. Also, not playing Charlotte Pudding in this deck. Very interesting to see a much more hyper-focused deck list revolving around the 7 Warlords of the Sea in comparison to, you know, still playing the 2/2 line of Gravity Blade and Perfume Femur, but knocking back the Geckos in favor of Jozu. And interesting to see these two decks in action. This was the absolute MVP of this deck. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you again so much for watching. I gotta head to bed because I have a flight to catch in the morning, and it's gonna be really early, and I'm not recording this early either. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this one. Hope to see you in the next video. And yeah, just, I mean, it's been a ton of fun.